Hello everyone, welcome to the session. Today we'll be talking about Sitecore and Sitecore content serialization. First, just let me introduce myself. My name is Juan Erazo. I'm a senior .NET developer. I'm currently working for GDK Upstanding Technologies as a backend developer for Sitecore integration. So let's go into it. Let's first talk about Sitecore. We'll get into this session. As we know, Sitecore is a leading enterprise-level content management systems and a digital experience platform used by organizations worldwide to manage their digital content, deliver personalized digital experience. So basically, it is a CMS that provides you a lot of tools to give great solutions for landing pages, for some quick solutions for this kind of scenarios. So as you can see in the image of the presentation, there's a little structure of items, a little stuff that you need to be built. So that's content, right? This is the content that you'll be showing into a specific page. This needs to be dynamic. This is the information, and see this like a little database that you can put information into these items. So today we're going to see how we'll be able to share this between our teams. If you're working with a large team and you need to provide solutions really fast, then here's what Sitecore content serialization comes from. We're going to go into it. So basically, Sitecore content serialization refers to the process of combining content items, template, and other Sitecore configuration elements into a format that can be easily stored, versioned, and managed outside the Sitecore content management system. This means, boys, that we can actually include Sitecore into JIT, right? We can share all items easily using this Sitecore content serialization into YAML files, and we'll be looking more into that. This comes especially with Sitecore 10. Previously, they were a combination of different tools. They were using, back in the days, we were using Unicorn with YAML files as well. So this Sitecore content serialization is the result of those all technologies that comes live with Sitecore 10 release, right? So let's go get into details of what it is, right? First, this Sitecore content serialization fundamentals, it gives you a JSON configuration. So that's the start. It gives you a certain configuration where you will be able to design your structure, how you will be able to separate your models. By models, you mean like if you want to share for different projects, or if you want to have different projects in one mono repo, right? That would be our auction. It gives you flexibility for those kinds of scenarios. So in the images you see in the presentation, you can see it comes to a project structure, regular project structure that you might use. There is a Sitecore.json file. That's the core of this Sitecore content serialization fund. That it comes with this little file where you can specify the dependencies that you could be using and the regular configuration, and as well where are the files or models that you will be implementing for some specific projects, right? In this case, this one, right? If you can see, this is just a little example for Sitecore serialization solution. So let's go into details about the models, because you need to have this Sitecore.json file into your solution, but as well you need to have some structure, some configuration for that. So in the first file you have model.json files, which this is a little space that I use to create a serialization folder where you will be having your YAML files. Those are the items that you are getting from your instance, your Sitecore instance. And the Sitecore serialization, that is just the regular project of a solution. But the important part is this model, this ser demo model JSON, which is the image that you see below. And those files that we have right here are the YAML files that are the result of all your items from your Sitecore instance into this repo, right? This little project that we have. So let's go into the model and let's take a better look. You have here a JSON structure, as we talked before. You have the first property, which is namespace. This namespace is really important, which is be the name you will be identifying this specific model. In this case, I'm including templates and content on this. So you have this other property, which is items, where you will be including your items from Sitecore. It has this little key, which is path, and I'm specifying serialization, which if I go back, this is the file, the folder that I have specified here, it will include a little folder of templates, and that means this has this include key, right? This include key are all the like the little folders you have in your Sitecore instance, and you specify here where you'll be saving that. Usually you add that into a repository, so you can save that into Git. So you have to include the name, path, this property which is allow push operations. Scope we'll be looking at more in detail after this, but the important part here, and I really want to explain this, is that whenever you include these items, the order is always important on these files, the JSON structure. This is because whenever you're trying to run this into Sitecore, it's gonna give you errors if you are missing for example, a parent file or a child file. Here, as you can see, templates are always first, because normally it is just based files, and all other file or items depends on these templates. So that's why you have it first. If you have differently, it might give you errors. So this is something really important to mention whenever you're working with Sitecore serialization content models for JSON, right? So let's go more into this, like into the models, because you can add more configuration into this, and this is what we look, right? So as you can see, the include auction have several keys that you can add. The required ones are name and path. These are just streams. The name is basically where you will be saving your data. That's a folder that is inside the serialization folder that we saw before. And the path, right? So this is specifying where I'm taking the data from Sitecore. So on this scenario, as you can see on the red lines, I'm putting you Sitecore templates project serialization demo, right? So that's the path where I have my information on my instance. And then we have this other keys, right? Let's see what they are for. So we have scope. As you can see, it is not required, but it's useful to specify where you're going to be bringing from Sitecore instance. You see you have valid values, which is single item, meaning that this will be bringing only the item that you are selecting on the path. Item and children, that means that you will be bringing the parent and the children's, but not children of the children of that specific file. And then item and descendants, that will be bringing everything that is on that specific tree or folder or item, right? That's in this case we are adding allow push operations, I mean the scope, which is item descendants, meaning that I will bring in everything that is inside our folder, and we'll be using that for our files, right? So also we got allow push operations, which is one of the most important things. You're given permissions to do something on your instance, right? So you have create only, create and update, which and create, update and delete, which in most of scenarios, whenever you have large teams, this is a good option. Whenever you have some specific core and base items that you don't want to modify, this you can exclude them from this, that can only create or read. But on this scenario, as you can see, we are doing a create, update and delete, as we want to manage these items, right? We want to delete them, move them, rename them. So that's the option that we're using for this namespace. As well, inside the includes, you can also bring rows, right? These are like little filters or specifications inside each of include. You can see in the right, there's an image here which says includes a content and the path Sitecore content home. Here you had also a rule with a path product legacy. So that means this is an item inside of this path. You are actually applying a rule to a specific path inside of another path. So that is useful for. As you can see, it also has some properties you can use. The required ones are always path and scope. You have a string, and you can tell them if you can ignore or you can include a single item or item and children. If there are scenarios you want to ignore them, You can also add an alias if you don't want to name it the way it is included on Sitecore. You can rename that. Then you have the action, right? Normally, the default value will be inherit from the parent, which is the include, allow push operations. But if you specify here in the rules JSON, you will have another push operations key, right? So that is useful for it is important whenever you have large projects or large Sitecore content where you want to manage that and control each specific item inside of a path of an include content. Great, so let's go and check how we'll be able to see this, how we'll be able to make the Sitecore contextualization to live, to work in a live demo. Usually when you come to Sitecore contextualization, you talk about Sitecore CLI, which is this is the tool that we use to get the data from Sitecore and get into YAML files and then to the repository and share for everyone else. However, there is also another tool, which is a Visual Studio plugin that you can use for that. However, on this session, we'll be focusing on Sitecore CLI, and we'll be doing that right now. So let's go into that. All right, so let's start with the demo, the live demo. So for this, I need to explain some stuff. Like for example, we have Sitecore instance, this little image that we have right here. So Sitecore instance use Sitecore management services. That's something required that you can install as a package from the Sitecore documentation. You can check that on Google. You need to install that as a package on your Sitecore instance. That's something important you need to do. And then you need your Sitecore CLI, which is what developers use to get, control, push, pull your items out of your Sitecore instance into your YAML files and then to your repository, right? So that is important stuff to mention. Let's go and explain a little bit about what we're going to do. So let me just finish this and explain to you, right? So first, I'm going to show you the instance that we're going to be working today so you can have an idea of what we're going to be bringing. This is a little test instance that we'll be using for some serialization. It has content, which it includes a item called home, a data source folder, and a card template. If we go into it, it has all items, all content, right? The image, a title, and a description. As well, we're going to be including some templates. The content and templates are the two scopes that we're going to be using. It is here on templates, project, serialization demo components, right? It's a card template, and I created some base templates so you can see these template inherits from this base templates, right? So that was going to be doing today for the instance, and then for the Sitecore process, right? We're going to be bringing the solution, which is just a regular structure solutions that it's common depending on what design pattern you're using and structure you're using. I'll be working with the Sitecore serialization, which is empty. I'm just going to be using it for serialization. It is not necessary for this process, right? You can use your PowerShell CMD console, but I'll be using Sitecore serialization, so everyone will be related to Visual Studio. As well, I have a folder which is CRC. On this CRC, we will be saving our serialization files. Right, this is the project Sitecore serialization, and on this folder we'll be storing our templates and content, which they will be YAML files. There will be a little more into detail like that, but it is important to mention this before we start, so we understand what's the structure we're going to be using. This can change, right? This is dependent on what solutions you will be targeting with, but basically it is always the same. You need to have a specification model. The location where you'll be saving your YAML files, and this will be, for example, this folder has serialization, and then the subfolders of your includes in your JSON file. So to start with that, we're going to open our solution, which is Sitecore Serialization. Okay, so we'll be using this solution just for practice process. You can use developer PowerShell, or you can use your PowerShell console, right? That's not a problem, but I want to include this so we can see the items on this git changes file, and so on, right? So the first thing you need to use is install the Sitecore CLI. So in order to do that, you can check those steps into the documentation, but basically all we need to do is just follow some commands that we need to put into this console. So the first one will be a regular .NET tool manifest, which is required. We're gonna just put that on. After that, we just need to add the nugget add source. All these steps are on Sitecore documentation. As you can see, it shows JSON file is being put it on, and then we need to install the .NET Sitecore CLI, which will be with this command, which is .NET tool install Sitecore.cli. Once you put that on, it will show you this green message telling you that Sitecore CLI was successfully installed. Right, for this on, we are ready to start using commands. If you want to test that you have everything installed correctly, you can use .NET Sitecore / help, and you can see the comments that we can use on this scenario, right? So you can have login, plugin, init, connect, and environment. So there's some comments that you need to use. We'll be going and some of them right now. So to start, we need to go with .NET Sitecore init. This will be initialize the configuration of Sitecore. So let's go do that, and we'll see what it does, right? So on .NET Sitecore, we just .NET Sitecore init. That means that we're going to initialize that. Great. So what this does, we're gonna go back into our Sitecore serialization process, and we can see now it is added a Sitecore.json file. Yeah, and this Sitecore.net JSON file will be able to identify the configuration of the file and the models, right? The location where our models will be. As we saw, and as we mentioned, our models will be under CRC on this auction. So I'll modify this to CRC, specifying that all my models will be on that folder. Great. So I'm gonna save it. Great. So this is the first part, important part. You need to specify where are your models. Great. So now that this is finished, it is important we design our models, right? For this scenario, I have prepared a file that we'll be using, and I'm gonna go into detail for that, but it's basically just adding a JSON file with the structure that we're gonna look at right now. So we need to include this inside of the CRC, the model, which would be the CER demo we saw in the presentation. The CER demo file model, we can name it as whatever you want, but it needs to end with JSON. We are gonna open this model, and we will have this configuration, right? So first namespace specifies the name of this model, the items that we'll be bringing, and where we're going to save them, which it will be including templates and content. So if you can see this path, right? Sitecore templates project serialization demo, it exists into my Sitecore instance. If I go here and I go templates, projects, serialization demo, this means everything inside of this folder will be saved into my YAML files using serialization process. It will be the same with content. So if we go back, we see content Sitecore content home means that everything inside of the home folder or home item will be saved into my YAML files. That will be stored into this serialization folder, which is content for content and templates, right? Great. So now we had that ready. We need to check this, right? Remember that the order is always important. Templates go first, and then if you have some configurations, also you need to check on that. If parent files and child files need to have that order. And then once you have this ready, you need to also provide access from your instance, right? Telling them that the CLI will be able to modify everything that is inside of your instance. So for that, you need to add this command that we're gonna see right now, which is this one. I'll explain to you right now. So you go back to your to your console, right? So you put this command, which is .NET Cycle login, which is one of the commands we saw. You need to log in into the identity server, which is the cstest identity server.local, and the instance, which is cstest.local, and put this little alert right through. That means we'll be able to modify everything that is inside of that instance. We're gonna put that on, and once that happens, it should pop up a little like this window right on your Google Navigator or whatever navigator you have. So you need to add your credentials here. Once you are logged in, it will show you this little message, which will be Sitecore confirmation. You need to say yes and allow. Then that means you can go back to your Sitecore instance, right? So once this happened, right now all we need to do is to start using the commands and show you right now to bring everything from your Sitecore instance into your folders, right? All configuration you have. So for example, right now I'm going to be using .NET Sitecore Serpool with an I, which specifies one single model, which is named SirDemo. Remember, this is the name we use on the folder on the namespace, which is SirDemo. That's the name of the model that will be executed. You can also do a Sitecore Serpool completely, which will bring everything that exists on this path that we specify, which is inside CRC. But on this scenario, the best practice is always to use the pool SirDemo. So you specify the only demo that you will be bringing, the only model you will be bringing. So we're gonna do that. What we're doing is we're bringing everything that is inside of the Sitecore, that's content and templates, project serial demo, to YAML files. So let's go do that right now. Okay, so as you can see, it specifies that it has found the model, which is called SirDemo, the one that we specify, and it will include these little messages with 8, which means add, D, delete, and U, which is update, right? Depending on what you're doing. In this case, I'm including some items from my instance. You see I have 18 changes after loading 18 items, and then it will be just bringing everything into YAML files. Okay, so let's go into our CRC files where we supposed to have the serialization process, which is content, right? On content, we'll be able to see we have YAML files already, meaning that we will have a YAML file for each item, including folders. So this YAML file is for this home folder. Inside of that home folder, we will have data source folder, which is also will include its own YAML file. So whatever item you will have in Sitecore, it will include its own YAML file. So inside data folder, you can have the card template. We're gonna open to see how it is. Okay, so this is a YAML file. If you are used to it, this is a key value file. We can specify the ID. These IDs are basically configurations that Sitecore use on their own to specify where they belong, which is the parent and which template it belongs to. If you can see, it also has a path where it is, right? Where it stores, what's the name, and other fields that Sitecore can interpret with that. Also the values, as you can see. This is not really friendly for users, but if we get used to it, you will be able to control what you have on your card templates and on your YAML files. So there's a little example of how this works, right? How you bring this into your YAML files. If you go back to, for example, this is what I want to check just to see. You can see we have our content here that we can upload into commit, right, into our repository that we have. In this case, on this one that I have here, I don't know, I will be adding insert items, and then after this I will be able to share my items with my team, or if I want to go to production, if I do any other options, right? This is the most easy way to do it. As you bring in everything, you're bringing images, you're bringing items, you're bringing content, text, everything you have on your Sitecore instance. So now it was uploaded and I can sure it's ready to use. So just to make sure we have everything covered, I'm gonna delete this content home, this little content template, and we're gonna make a push, right? So this means that as it is not longer existing on my instance, I will do a push from my repository to simulating that this never exists, right, on my instance. So we're gonna wait a little bit until this happens. We're gonna go back here and pretty common. Okay. Okay. So just gonna wait this to see. Okay, it is ready. So as you can see, the card is no longer existing in our instance. So what I'm gonna do is just a little push on start demo, which you can see it just discovered one change, evaluating what difference you have just as JIT. And what it does is just adding the item that I don't have into the card templates. So if I go back to my instance and I do reload the item, it is now here, and it is now with a description, image, and title. So this is the magic of Sitecore content serialization. It is really easy to use, and it's really flexible whenever you want to apply any model configurations or project first solutions. It is a great tool. So it will be all for today. I hope you learned something today. Have a nice day.